and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money presents Perfect Transformation. For those of you that are new to the show, and for those of you that are not, I'm sure you're aware that we are transitioning into a different format, different information, based upon my belief when I turned 65 that this thing called life is a little bit more complicated than just how-tos, which is what money is about. How to do this, how to do that. That's all very, very important. Don't want to minimize it. But what I found is that so many, many people were missing the mark, not because they did not want to hit it, they didn't know how to hit it. So with that intent in mind, we are transiting from the power of money to the power of money presents perfect transformation, which is, again, for people that are committed to positive, successful living. And that is a three-dimensional approach with spiritual, mental, and health. And so my collaborators, Dr. Rick Howard, naturopathic doctor, committed to health and wellness, physically and mentally, Apostle Dennis Hatchett, who has a very, very, in my opinion, just in your front, honest perspective about the role of God. And if you're uncomfortable about that, I don't know what to say to you other than that's where it is. And of course myself, the money lady, and I'll be interviewing and asking different things and dealing with the issue of money. But remember, all the money in the world can't cure you if you've got an incurable disease. Just remember that. Remember that all the money in the world is not going to make it right if your family is dysfunctional and your family does not like you. They don't want you. They want your money. And so we're going to be addressing those issues. We're going to be continuing our conversation about perfect transformation and laying the definition and moving forward. That's very important in the weeks and months ahead as we reformat. Again, personal transformation is to facilitate one goal, and that is a successful life. Arguably, and these are not my own words, these are Dr. Howard's words, but they're excellent, the single most repeated mistake made by ambitious people is seeking to transform their world before they have transformed their lives. Doesn't that sound like some people you know? It may even be you. Making changes or even transformation before building a viable character is usually highly destructive. Those are the words of one of my collaborators, Dr. Rick Howard. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions today before we go into the meat of the program. And these are questions for your consideration as you listen and learn. And again, listening, because you want to hear this voice. There are lots of voices out here. We've talked about that in the past. But you want to listen to this voice because this voice will transform, if you're willing, your life for the better. First question, who am I? What challenges my current beliefs? Will I have strength to exercise my choice about what I think is right? That's a good one. Not situational ethics, what you think is right. What are the actual choices I make daily? Why do I exist? What new things will I learn? Now, you stick around, you're going to learn a lot on this. What values guide my choices? Do you do what you want? Or are you operating out of a core set of values that will sustain you and your family? Do I have the moral strength to practice what I believe? My goodness, that's a big one right there. Do I have the moral strength? Are you influenced by voices and by what people tell you? I mean, it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing what people listen to and that they believe it. That's the whole marketing thing. Television will tell you. They can tell you what people's behavior will be based on the advertising that runs. That's a sad story that you have to be driven by advertising on television or radio or print or social media. So we're going to be dealing with today, again, my guest, Dr. Rick Howard and Apostle Dennis Hatchett. How are you, gentlemen? Always good to see you. Always good. Wow, we started off with a bang. Where are we at? Who wants to take the lead? I don't feel like taking the lead, gentlemen.
Well, I think just listening to those questions that you brought up, I think is very interesting, because the one that stuck out in my mind is what values guide my choices. And we said the last program and tried to emphasize everybody makes choices.
Yeah, they do.
Everybody is changing. But what really guides your values is education.
Okay.
Really, if I go to school, formal education, that teaches me to broaden my horizons. They give me new information or old information packaged in slightly different ways, and I internalize that. It's like food. If I eat potato chips, whether I made a choice about potato chips or not, consciously, because I chose to ingest the potato chips, my body will begin to respond to what I have ingested. That is doubly, triply, profoundly true about what you allow into your mind, the values, the voices you listen to. That is going to make the foundation for your change, okay? And true education is always three-dimensional.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so expound, because I just, a point of clarity just for our viewers. When you talk about education, are you talking about formal college-driven education? Are you talking about life experiences? What is your definition of education?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes.
Yes to all. That's why I don't like you all.
Education is both. See,
Oh,
usually people are pitting one against the other. But on my way to school, somebody cuts me off in traffic, and I scream and I shout. Education, that's an education, okay? Because certain responses can happen, certain interchanges.
Okay.
I'm educating myself.
Okay.
Then when I get in the classroom, before that education is profitable, I have to get my mind around what I was just educated. I have to swallow that lesson.
Okay.
So really the life education that I do every day sets the tone and makes preparation for classroom education. And that is why so many students have a hard time learning, is because what's happening outside of the classroom has not been totally digested. So what is happening inside the classroom can't be accepted. I haven't finished digesting what I just got.
On the outside.
What happened on the outside. So if a child is hungry, they've found out, they're not going to learn in the classroom, because that is an education. That is something that is being transformatively put into their minds to say, this priority of mine is not being met. So how am I going to put priority on this?
What you want.
What you want. What you want me to get.
Makes perfect sense. I never looked at it like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
never looked
yeah,
like that.
both of those. So it is three-dimensional.
Okay.
And exactly, because when we don't start the education at home, there's no education outside of the home. Because the thing is, well, let me give this example. You go into the doctor's office.
Yes.
And you're sitting at the doctor's office, and somebody else comes into the doctor's office with a child. And
Okay.
this child is all over the place.
Yeah.
And you can't get the child to sit down, can't get the child to be still. But the reality of the matter is that child was never educated at home to be still. He was never taught at home to sit down. So now, when you as the adult come into that environment, you have already been pre-programmed and pre-taught those things.
Right.
So when we come into a situation where we don't educate ourselves in the prior tense, the education that we're going to receive is just as void as the void we have here in our preparation stage and education stage at home. If there's no pre-education, then there's not going to be an external education.
Well,
Because
there
it-
will
we-
be one. There will be one, like we said last time.
There
It's
will
just-
be one.
It just the lane markers are broader. You know?
But the reality is this, though: when you've connected to this education, which is non-structured, and then you bring somebody into a structured education,
Right.
their mindset is formulated in the non-structured education. So there's not going to be an education in this sector because it's structured, and they're not going to connect to it. They're not going to comprehend it. They're not going to be able to process that information because it's not in this environment. So whatever pre-learning has taken place here affects your ability to be able to learn over here.
Well, one of the questions you read was what challenges my current beliefs. If I'm driving in 2 different lanes, the ticket that I get for driving in 2 lanes challenges my current belief, right? I get a new education.
Because I currently thought I could drive in both lanes.
I could drive in both lanes, but the ticket reminds me you cannot drive. And that's the difficulty when it comes to life, when it comes to health, when it comes to relationships. I thought I could do this. I thought I could do whatever I want. And then something jars you. It may not be negative, but it may come off feeling negative because a ticket, under perfect circumstances, I have to say that, the officer is trying to bring you back in alignment.
Yes, with the rules.
With the rules,
yes.
with the standards. You drive your lane. Leave Dennis's lane alone. Right? You keep
Stay
in your lane. That education sometimes can only be had or only be accepted by a jarring result. But
here's the rub, because sometimes that jarring result can have permanent outcome.
Well, all of them do. All of our choices have permanent outcomes. We may be able to modify certain levels of the outcome, but if I've cursed somebody out, I can't uncurse them.
You can't uncurse them.
I might be able to say, Michelle, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to do that. And you may accept it, but it has placed a little space there that wasn't there before. And we might be able to dance around that space, but it's still there. Our choices are critical for the transformation. And I think that
that is so powerful.
In talking about the transformations that we're dealing with, every voice that we hear affects us. It either strengthens my choice in doing what's right, what I think is right, or it turns me away from what I think is right. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. I shouldn't have done that. So then you have the environmental stimulation. I have to know where I stand in light of that. I'm driving in Dennis's lane, and until I discover that, I won't think anything is wrong.
So what causes, and I hate to be just this direct, but what is it going to take to to engage in self-discovery? When you does the whole world have to come falling on your head for you to get it?
Well, to use the drug parlance, they said most people don't change till they do what? Hit rock bottom.
Are you a rock bottom man?
Well, that's the thing that brought me to where I'm at now. I had to hit rock bottom, and because we are in a system that breeds us, motivates us, and pushes us to be independent. So when we're independent, we don't trust nobody, we don't believe nobody, and we don't really hear anybody. We listen to the voices, and then we choose those things that are most conducive to our heart, our desires, the things that make us feel good. So when we're in this place, a lot of times something has to crash our individuality to make us recognize we're not the only one in this world. There are other people in this world. No, I can't drive in your lane, in my lane too, because it goes back to one of the points that we made in the last show. Can I do whatever I want to do? Or are there boundaries established that says, okay, this is the direction that we're going? Because they put these lines on the road for a purpose.
Yes, they definitely did.
And it gives us a direction. So what kind of lines do we have established in our lives? Do we establish any lines in our lives? It's just like what I was talking about earlier about the child that won't sit down. Do we establish the lines that there are going to be times where you need to put the toys down and sit down? Do we establish that at home? Do we teach that at home and say, okay, now this is time to sit down. Put your toys down. This is quiet time. Let's sit down and be still. Or do we just wait till we get to this environment where it's required for folks to sit down and be quiet, and then we run around trying to quiet this kid down? And when we don't do those things at home, I use the references with the child, but we are the same. When we don't prepare ourselves internally for what we're getting ready to go do externally, the same turmoil presents itself.
Well, it's ironic that you bring that up because I am running into that more and more and more with adults. And I say this because in many instances, they never ever experience the consequences of their behavior. Why? Because I don't know why. I don't know why. But I do know there are consequences because at some point they're going to bump into a person who is balanced, who has perspective, and they're going to do that same behavior with terrible outcome. Terrible outcome.
Well, one of the reasons they don't ever recognize their consequences is because usually in those situations they have a buffer. And what I mean by a buffer is there's somebody that comes along after the fact and cleans up the mess.
Ah,
They mess it all
clean
up.
lady.
Yes.
You ever seen that on the commercials they play these days? The kid will be running through the house, knock over something, and the mother will come behind him and clean it up. I thought,
Absolutely.
what a terrible idea.
What a terrible.
You're teaching the child, and you're teaching the viewers, the America.
It's
Let the
perfectly
kid,
okay. Let the kid do whatever.
Just do whatever. Don't
Right.
restrict their freedom. Let them do what they want.
Absolutely.
Let them knock over stuff. And my wife said all the time, "Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no! I'm
There
telling
is
you!
no
Oh
way.
no!
There
Oh
is
no!
no way.
Oh no!
My kid's gonna run through the house.
Oh no! First
make
thing,
a
you're not
mess.
gonna run.
Yeah, that's
out. That's out.
okay.
But that's how we
That's how it
mature.
happens.
That's how it matures. That's how it manifests. Because those children that haven't been restrained, they grow up to be adults that don't have any restraint. So they don't have any mindset that says there are going to be some consequences for my actions here, because there's no process of evaluation beyond where they are, because they're living for the moment, and everything is for the moment. They don't do anything. They don't do anything with vision to look beyond the moment to say, after this moment is over, now what?
Well, I have to say this because last week was a challenging week for me. I had one-on-ones with people. And I've been out the market for a little bit because I've been taking care of some other things and on projects, but I did do some one-on-ones because I have to move people's money. They're retiring. A lot of them are being forced into retirement. A lot of people are not aware that the public sector is disengaging divisions and putting them up under private sector. And people are just everywhere. I mean, they don't understand private sector is brutal. So, and it is by the rules in private sector. If you don't play the rules, you're out. Nobody gives you grace, you're out. But anyway, long story short, 3 different appointments. And in every last one of them, the things I told them to bring to be prepared, no, didn't bring anything. One didn't show up. Now this is my kind. And the third one was like, and oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, it's already being done. It's not about what you're going to do. It's already being done to you. And now you have to make some choices. Okay? But the decision, which is I'm in the middle of something imposed upon me that I don't like, what am I going to do? And I watched 3 different responses. The flee response, which is, the one that says, I don't know what I'm going to, I don't have any, did you bring your material? No. The other person, I don't know what I'm going to, I got to pray about it. What are you going to pray? Because trust me when I tell you that the private sector does not look to prayer to run their companies, and if you don't handle your business, you're going to be penniless.
Well, here's the thing,
because
we're raining on people here.
I am.
So
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
here we can point out
Okay.
that there are 4 engines
Okay.
for transformation.
Thank you.
Okay. We want to give them some hope here.
Well, you better give them some hope now.
And I think that the first engine that we want to look at, and it sounds like it has nothing to do with it, which is character. Mm-hmm. Character is the fruit of the garden of what our choices,
Okay.
our directives, our emotions, our learning, everything kind of fertilizes our garden, and character is the result. So what does character have to do with this?
Yes.
Character is what gives direction or guidance or sets the boundaries for how we live, okay? Mm-hmm. It's my value system. Well, it's really more the priorities, because character births my purpose. Mm-hmm. Purpose is the hard boundaries, the lane lines.
Yes.
But character says, this is where we're going. This is how we're going to go. And this is the time we need to be there. Mm-hmm. That's character.
That's character.
Right? Character says, I don't want to be late for work. Character says, I want to be a faithful employee. Mm-hmm. Character says, wow, they aren't paying me enough right now, but I agreed to this job.
Yes.
I'm going to be here.
Right.
I'm going to be on time. Character says, I don't like what this person is going to do, but I'm not going to make a scene. I'm going to take them to the side. Mm-hmm. Character determines how I live my life, even when it comes to business and handling business.
Yes.
If your character value system, ethics are not in place, and that's the biggest problem we're having in the country today.
Yes.
People they have earned money, they have done things, but it's so underhanded, they ethically wrong. I mean, they just had something on television. Jared Kushner, president's son, is in a position where he is influential in China, all these things, but his company is over asking China about a business deal. His sister. Well, that's you know. So
totally
that's
out of order.
That's not ethical.
That's not ethical.
But if you don't have ethics, you can have power, and this is critical, and this is what gets people in trouble. You can have the power to change your life, but if you don't have the character to direct that change, usually what you're going to do is going to be destructive. You see? So character is the first engine. Before I change my life, I must establish a value system of how that change will come.
Where does it come from?
Knowledge is the second engine.
Okay.
See? If I don't know, like they used to say, you better ask somebody.
You better ask somebody.
Right.
Yeah, you better ask somebody.
You better ask somebody. And that we think of that as an urban saying.
Not one of those voices.
But it's, well, the voices are indiscriminate. See, the voices are indiscriminate. It is my choice which voice I will listen to. The voices are all indiscriminate. The voices are going to say what they say and do what. I can't try to put a filter externally on the voices, and that's what they say is what do they call it these days when you are trying to censor people or censor the news or censor. We don't. It's not our job to put external censors on most things. The internal, it should be internal censor. So yes, I have character. Then when I hear somebody say something foolish, I must say, is this in alignment with what I want to do? Is this taking me where I want to go? Is this how I want to do that? I have to have good knowledge to make that choice, to make a decision about my choice.
Okay.
See, and the real difference between a decision and a commitment and choice, these are small, Because once I get enlightenment about what I want, okay, I got some knowledge about what I want to do, then the decision is the process by which I weigh good, bad, evil, not so evil, righteous. I weigh these things. Then I say, you know, I like Dennis's lane better, but it's over the line. I better stay in my, then I commit to doing what I have decided is right.
That is major.
Now,
Major.
the act of doing it is the choice.
Talk about that, Apostle.
Well, you know, one of the things that I stress in all realms, because it governs you across the board, is the power of the made-up mind.
Yeah, you've talked about it.
When you make up your mind or you make a decision, you're going to get what it is you've decided you want. It's like when you were a child and mama made them cookies and said you can't have a cookie until after we eat dinner.
Right.
But the cookies are sitting on the counter going,
Come here.
you decide at that point that, yep, I want this cookie, and mama said I got to wait until after dinner.
So you're weighing your
Yep.
decision. You're weighing.
Exactly. So I know there's going to be consequences if I go get this cookie, but I want the cookie, so I'm going to get the cookie.
Commitment.
Absolutely. And after you make the commitment, now the manifested reality that you got cookie crumbs all over your face when
Shows
mama
your
comes in the
choice.
kitchen, it shows your choice. So when we make up our minds, it's significant. And the thing is, what do you make up your mind to? Because the voices are always speaking. There's always going to be information that comes in to challenge the information that you originally established to be your direction. But what do you hear? Because when some of the information can be warnings, but most of the information is only coming from sources that have experienced something different than you're dealing with. And they're only giving you their perspective from where they were and what they experienced. And oh, you need to watch out for that tree. And it's like, okay, if I stay in my lane, there are no trees.
Right.
But if they're on the sidewalk and the branches are hanging down on the sidewalk, then yeah, you need to watch out for the tree. But I'm not on the sidewalk, so I don't need to watch out for the tree. So when we make up our minds and what our focus is, and then we maintain our focus, we make a decision to maintain our focus, because we understand that if we focus on the lane that's already established with all the lines and the borders that are already in place, I will end up in the same place if I continue to progress forward. But so when we make up our minds,
My goodness.
What's the limit?
What is the limit when you make up your mind?
Well, the thing is, we've talked about character, the first engine, getting knowledge. Out of the character and knowledge, the lane markers are painted. That's purpose.
Purpose.
That's the third one. See, when I paint those lane markers, the lane markers in the highway does not put the brakes on in your car.
It does not.
It does not.
No.
When you get the ticket, even that doesn't put the brakes on.
It does not.
Your purpose tells you the boundaries with which you drive. The lane markers don't change every time you feel bad.
Yeah, but the good part is when you make up your mind, purpose falls in alignment with that made up mind. Because the thing is, when you make up your mind that you're going to write a note, you had to make the decision to pick up the pen, and you had to make the decision to pick up the paper. You couldn't write the note without picking up the pen and the paper.
Right.
But it was because the mind is made up that I'm getting ready to make a note that my purpose comes into play. So the first ingredient, when we make that acknowledgement and that enlightenment, and we acknowledge what we desire, and we set that goal for the final frontier, we make up our minds that we're going to get there. Now we start seeking out those elements for the development of the character.
But the elements will come. It's
Absolutely.
it's literally magical in a way, because they will show up.
Well, you know, our Father set it up that way.
Isn't that amazing?
He set it
Well,
up that way.
I think it's a developmental thing. That's why we're growing. As we transform, you grow, because purpose, let's just say, I'm driving in the lane that Dennis, I want to drive in his lane, but I'm in my lane. Then I come to a place where the road literally says Dennis Lane's ends,
Oh my God.
and he has to merge into my lane.
Yes.
I have to pay attention to the developments that are on the road. I still have a purpose. The lines are still there, but it's telling me something different now, the same lines. And so purpose is constantly watered, fertilized, and nurtured by my knowledge. I learn something new that should change, broaden, or tighten my purpose.
I like that description.
I like that description too.
Because the thing is, one of the things that I speak to, once you make your mind up, there has to be flexibility.
Okay.
Because as you talk about the lines being tightened, there has to be flexibility for adjustments, because there are no perfect anythings. So when we make up our minds and we're going in our direction, there are going to be oppositions that come, there are going to be obstacles that come. And if we don't have flexibility to either absorb those things, it might push us over into Rick's lane, and my lane hasn't ended yet. It's not time for me to merge. And a premature merge can be just as dramatic as not seeing the sign that says lane ending, merge left.
So character though is what tells me where I'm going, what time I have to be there. You know, that is usually the culmination of what that journey is.
Right.
The purpose, the knowledge feeds things in direction of my character. It says, wow, you remember you got to be there at 9 o'clock, and it is 8:30. Okay, so you need to do what you got to do. Purpose says, okay, you got to be there at 9 o'clock. It's 8:30 now. You didn't leave on time. You're either going to decide you're going to push it a little, or you're going to be late.
Yeah.
Which is it? Because this is what it is. See, purpose is defined by what the character says is critical.
Whoa.
When
Purpose
that gets
is defined by
what character
says
prioritizes. You see, if I get that backwards, if I get that reversed, then that is why people say, by any means necessary.
Absolutely.
Now, character is held hostage to whatever my purpose is. Because I need a new car. If I have to shoot you to get the new car, by any means necessary, character has been taken hostage to purpose. It should never happen that way. Character should be in charge of purpose
at all times,
and discern what knowledge is acceptable or not acceptable. If knowledge gets ahead of character, then no matter what I think the outcome of this, getting certain knowledge will be, that's what Eve happened to Eve. Eve let knowledge or the hope of knowledge overrule what her character said or her priority should have been. My priority is to do what God says. But wow, he said, if I eat this, if I do this, the voice said,
you could be God.
See, knowledge overwhelmed character.
Jeez.
So
this is good.
The purpose should be constantly fed by character and knowledge.
Yes. But let's talk about the fourth one, which is practices and habits.
Oh, that's the tough stuff.
You gave me an insight some time ago that I wrote down in my little pink notebook, which is during the day I'll pull my little notebook up and read thoughts that impacted on me. And you made a comment that habits make it very difficult. I have to pull out my pink book.
The moral principle is weak.
Weak.
in the face of established habits. In other words, my character says, Rick, this is good. But if I'm in the habit of taking a shortcut, that's the route that will make most sense to me.
Even though. And
how does that happen? How does that happen? How does that look in practice? Okay, if I'm used to cheating on my taxes, and it says, wow, you owe $6,000, I'm going to find a way to yeah, I did have that expense.
Right.
Because
that's the habit.
That's the habit I'm in. But in even smaller ways and probably more impactful, those potato chips that are sitting in front of me, or something I know is not good for my body, I'm in the habit. Wow, I need to wake up. I got to have a cup of coffee. I got to get even a joke. Though I could show you so many reasons why a cup of coffee is not good for your kidneys. It impacts your liver. It impacts your digestive tract. It impacts your brain, your nervous system, your heart. Wow. Why did you say you were doing that? Okay.
Because that's what I did.
I can't start my day without my coffee.
No,
practice.
actually two. Yeah, practice, okay.
The habit, you see. And we have to be careful because the neurons are trained not by genetics, but by habit. What I do, what my brain learns to do, it encodes by what my habit says are important.
Absolutely.
And
at night when I sleep,
accordingly.
It prunes off the things that I have by vote of choice. Habit says are unimportant. It just says, okay, Rick says this is unimportant, and it strengthens by that way of doing that, it strengthens the habits that I have chosen that are important. So if I'm used to watching Batman every day at 3 o'clock, then guess what? 3 o'clock, I'm going to be looking for Batman. And my reactions to life will be Batman's reactions. Holy cow, Robin.
Exactly.
We're in trouble.
Oh, no. No. Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Come on. Really?
Well, you know, it's like we talked about the three dimensions of life. And when we talk about the three dimensions of life, that you take in, then you process, and then we have waste elimination.
Right.
Same thing. If all you're taking in is, holy cow, Batman, holy cow, Batman, holy cow, Batman, holy cow, Batman, and then you go out, the first thing that comes to mind without you even thinking, holy cow, Batman.
That's it.
Oh, no.
That's why it's so dangerous on a practical level to let children watch things that are not character approved.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Absolutely.
Because they say, well, he knows the difference. This is not real. You are training the neurons to think that this is real. How many times have you heard a noise behind you? Oh, I thought that was, when you look and it was just a piece of paper falling over. Okay, your brain could not distinguish between reality and what it thought was reality. Your body responds to it the same way. Your heart will race. You'll jerk into action because that piece of paper was going to kill you.
Exactly.
Right?
This is, you know what? This is so profound. This is so profound. And I want to leave our viewers with some level of hope because, no, I'm serious, we live in a system that literally has programmed response. The marketing machine knows full well, whether it's on television, radio, movies, the marketing machine will create a person. It has the ability, it has creative powers.
Okay, this is the hope.
Okay.
Okay, first just listen.
Okay, listening. Attention.
You hear that?
Yeah.
You can choose a space where there's no noise. Maybe that's the first thing you do. Maybe you're in a space where there's too much noise.
So back away.
Back up, purge from your body the things that are doing harm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing to, you know, people, I talk about health and diet, and people say, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want to do that. I said, but I just can't do it, I can't do it. I tried, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay.
Okay.
Don't try to do everything in a day because you didn't get there in a day. Maybe your first thing is just purging those things that you know are not beneficial. Okay? That's the first step. Make better decisions before your commitments become your choices. Right?
Right.
I need to first be enlightened to what I desire, what is good. I need to hear the voices that are making me choose what I see by self-discovery is out of line in my life. But if you don't know what's out of line, you can't make a good decision.
That's my
and you
challenge,
can't
yeah.
become.
Absolutely.
You see? So I have to become aware of my condition. So take time, write down in a quiet space where no voices are speaking to you and say, you know, I was driving in Dennis's lane. Now that I think about it, I don't know why I was driving in Dennis's lane. What
Yeah.
was I thinking? I'm not going to drive anymore in Dennis's lane. Then the next day, before I think about it, I'm driving in Dennis's lane, but this will come back to me that I wrote this in my little book.
I
better get out of Dennis's lane. You form new habits by listening to the right voices.
Eureka. That's a biggie. Say it again.
You train yourself
Okay.
to new habits by first listening to the right voices.
Okay.
See, I have to put myself in a space, in a quiet space, where all the voices are not bombarding my mind with, you can drive in Rick's lane, he don't need it anyway. You can do this, they don't need to do that. How many times are people telling us what we could do, should do, and we haven't evaluated the success of their life for them? You see what I'm saying?
Now
the guy that was telling the woman to make a different banking decision, was he a banker? Did he have the success at banking?
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Which is why I was absolutely, my knee-jerk reaction, and it's not just her, the presumption, and it is a presumption that people have knowledge of money and these things. It's a
right.
Because everybody feels they know how to do this.
Right.
And there's no measurement until you have lost everything.
Right.
And then it's there. But there's still no consciousness as to the fact that you are responsible for that. You made a decision based upon a voice that made you do this.
And that decision, we got to remind ourselves, because people rush from decision to choice.
Yeah.
Decision is just a process where I'm weighing two or more voices.
Yeah.
See, decision saying, okay, Michelle said I should do this.
And he said
Freddie said I should do that.
Yes.
And Kookie said I could do neither one of them. Which one should I listen to? That's the deciding thing.
So how does that get resolved?
Okay, you have to first establish, and this is critical, because your character grows as well. So your character, you have to decide, how do I want to live? My mother told me something, and most of us listen to how our parents told us we should live, or our uncle, or our grandmother. There's somebody. So I did something for kids, and maybe we'll bring this in. I had a an example where they had to choose 5. Choose 5 what? They had to choose 5 people from their past that were the most influential. 5 sources of information presently that are most influential. 5 musicians that they like the most. And 5 movies or television shows that they listen to. Because practically speaking, these are the voices that we hear from our past, from our present, from the culture, from the media.
Hoo-wee. That's it.
And these kids made some astonishing statements. These were kids from the ghetto. They were saying, or I should say inner city.
Okay.
That was a bad choice. And they began to think about, well, you know, my grandmother, she did this for me and did that for me, and she told me X, Y, and Z, and that's why, even though my friends say I should do this, my grandmother, my mother taught me to do this. That's why I made this decision. If we could take, as adults, go back and look at the powerful influences, voices that there have been, and then make the decision, which of these voices do I truly want to listen to? Because I don't have any other option.
Because that's all you have.
That's all I have. I have what my cultural, social environment was, my cultural environment is, the media is saying, what other choices do I have? So maybe as I go through these things, eventually I'll say, you know what? My grandmother was crazy. I can't listen to her. She told me to stab everybody that come close to me. I need to jettison that out of my, that doesn't need to be a part of my priorities for life. So by the process, and we'll go over this more in later shows, there's a process by which we can transform our character, we can transform our lives, we can transform our destiny.
That is powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another thing I'll just add to that, if there's anything possible to add to that. From a biblical standpoint, come out from them and be ye separate. Abraham, come out from your kindred and your kinfolk, or the voices that you hear.
Exactly.
And go into the land that I will show you.
Right.
And then let that book be the voice.
That's a powerful thing, because that is a cultural decision that God had him make. That's a cultural decision. And the biggest challenge to our young people and old people today is culture, what the culture says. See, today, and I'm going to get slapped for saying this, but I feel it coming. I feel it coming. But here it is anyway. The culture has told people they can decide what gender they are. I mean, that's a new revelation to me. How can the culture tell you you can decide? Now, I'm not arguing with what anybody wants to say, but I'm just saying, isn't that a cultural shift? When you were growing up, you were either this or that. They're saying, by new knowledge somehow or another, and physiology no longer dictates. Anatomy,
I got it.
Anatomy no longer dictates. Cultural understanding dictates.
Right. So whatever you say you are, you are.
In Ireland, no, was it in Ireland? No, Australia.
Okay.
There was a guy who...
And you know Australia's a little bit...
Yeah, different.
Different, okay.
This guy grew up a man, thought he wanted to be a woman.
Okay.
So he actually transformed himself surgically.
Yeah.
Female.
And hormones, okay.
Okay, then he decided after living...
Stop. He didn't want to be a woman. I'm not mad at him. Ain't no benefit. Ain't no benefit.
Wait, he decided he did not want to be a woman.
I bet not.
And again, if that's his choice, I guess I'm fine with that. But I'm just amazed at the
So he went back to being a man.
No, what he did was,
I want to hear
he
this.
said he wasn't a man or a woman.
So what is he?
So he
A hermaphrodite?
He went to court, and the Supreme Court of Australia upheld his decision that he was neither man or woman.
So what is he?
He's gender neutral.
Oh my God. So
And
how do you
and
work
so
with
what
that?
I'm saying
what
is,
does he have? What attributes does he have?
he says sometimes he feels like a woman and sometimes he feels like a man. So what I'm saying
there a
is
psychological definition.
Well, before we get all of us slapped, before we all get slapped.
Yeah, because we get ready to get slapped. We got 5 minutes left.
But what I'm saying is,
we're going to end the show on this note.
Unless transformation takes place in a orderly, predetermined, so to speak, choice about what you want your priorities or character to be, then your purpose will be distorted and lost. You won't have a purpose because the knowledge that you're drawing from is indiscriminate. You cannot, if you want to paint your house blue, you have to stay in the lane of blue paints.
Yeah, if you want
and
to
blue
be
tints,
blue.
if you want it to be blue. But if you say yellow is now blue, green is now blue, red is now blue, no one will understand what you're talking about, and I think that's where our culture has come to. So we need to practice staying in our lane, making good choices according to purpose, which has been decided by our character or our value system. And I think that's where, but you can educate your value system. Hopefully shows like this will help people say, wow, here's the process for growing, my character, growing my decision making, growing my choices.
You got me stuck. What is your phone number? We're done. The show is over. Give them your phone.
My cell.
Gender neutral.
My cell is 513-571-9210.
Okay.
513-479-9302.
Michelle at 513. See, this is a problem with you guys. This is what I have to work through. And I ain't going to praise you because I'm going to deal with it. Anyway, my number is 513-237-3914. This has been an off-the-wall show. And I hope you've gleaned enough information to understand that you can begin to make the shifts that are necessary for you to live a successful life. A life that is balanced, a life that is goal-oriented and people-driven. I bless you today. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and see you next time. You take care, and God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.